Since episode 69, where we explored the Great Divorce and the widening gap between men and women in relationships, we've been digging deeper, unpacking social conditioning, calling out collective blind spots, and confronting the ways patriarchy shows up in our everyday lives. Do mothers just want their daughters to fit in with society and will push for her to have children because they don't want her to be a social outcast? They lived in a time when birth control was harder to access, when careers for women were limited, when single motherhood meant social exile, and when saying no to motherhood wasn't really an option at all. If motherhood was truly the most fulfilling, joyous experience a woman could have, why would there be an entire industry built around convincing women to do it? And we talked about that uncomfortable truth, that many of the women pushing motherhood on you, including your own mother, might be doing it because they need you to validate their own choices. If patriarchy was just about general control, it wouldn't need to be so obsessed with what women do with their bodies. Yet, for thousands of years, institutions have aligned to ensure that men, and only men, have unrestricted access to sex, children, and emotional caretaking. Listen to episodes 86 and 87 for the breakdown of the purity culture mindset and how unbelievably toxic and harmful it is. Reproductive laws have always been about control, not care, forcing women into motherhood while making men's role optional. That is why we are never going to end the discussions around consent, women's autonomy, women's empowerment, and women's rights. This is an ongoing battle, a constant push and pull between a system that needs women to be compliant and available and perform emotional and household labor for free, and raising the next generation with a tired and exhausted smile on their face. The moment women start taking back their power, the moment they start saying no to being used, the system pushes back harder. No to the systems, no to the structure, no to the societal expectations, no to the compliance, and no to having babies and raising them because it's supposed to be the plan for women. When women say no, and a lot of women say no, it forces the system to shift and adjust. Younger generations are questioning outdated gender roles, demanding equality in relationships, and rejecting the idea that women owe men sex, children, or emotional caretaking. Every time a woman chooses herself over outdated expectations, the system loses some of its grip. The more women opt out of patriarchal control, the harder it becomes to sustain it. And as you might expect, when women start taking back control, the system doesn't just sit quietly. The attacks are now political, cultural, and economic. But the goal remains the same: to coerce women back into submission. When women can't control their own reproduction, when they can't support themselves financially, when they're isolated from support networks, they can't say no. The patriarchy has always been a system designed to ensure men have access to sex without having to earn it, without having to maintain it, without investing emotionally, and without consequence. When you remove a woman's support system, when you make her feel like an outsider for making different choices, you're more likely to pressure her back into compliance. Every time we make progress, every time women gain a little more control over their own bodies and lives, the system adapts and finds new ways to push back. If patriarchal control wasn't primarily about securing male access to women, then women saying no wouldn't be met with this level of rage, violence, and legal suppression. If all of this wasn't really about controlling women, why does the conversation always circle back to what women should do with their bodies, their time, their choices? Once you start seeing this system for what it really is, once you understand that it's all about controlling access to women, those cute little metaphors start feeling different. It's a hierarchical power system built by men for men so they can have unrestricted access to sex with women. This is the war that never ends, the battle for women's autonomy that every generation has to fight.